I got a comment that was really insightful and we should talk about it. Australian farmers want to thank American farmers who voted for Trump. What's going on here? American farmers going along with trade wars is great news for other farmers all around the world because then they get to sell to our customers instead of us. A little background. Much of the US farm sector believes that we will win trade wars because we've exported so much grain and meat for so long that we have a saying, we feed the world. And the history of exporting a lot of food led to a belief that other countries buy food from the United States because they have to, that the rest of the world simply cannot grow enough food to feed itself without the United States. There's nowhere else for them to go, so says that belief, and they'll have to give it to us and to our trade demands eventually. The reality is that the US just got good at growing a lot of food cheap. The rest of the world bought food from the US because it was cheap, convenient, and at least back then reliable. Not because they had to, not because it was the only place they can grow food. The reality is the rest of the world can feed itself just fine when it wants to, and boy, are we making them want to right now. Here's just one example. When Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2022, people panicked because Ukraine grows so much of the world's wheat. Of course, there must not be enough now, but what actually happened? Australia and India came in clutch with their own big bumper crops of wheat, and that surprised a lot of people. And I don't know how, because Australia has always been a big wheat exporter, so that shouldn't have been a surprise. And I guess nobody noticed that India's been growing more wheat than they can use most years for decades now. India's got less than half the land the United States does. 1.5 billion people, and they're still cutting and threshing a lot of their wheat acreage by hand with sickles. And they're still growing more wheat than they need most years. So believe me when I tell you, the world is surprisingly good at feeding itself without us. Let's talk soybeans. Brazil grows those now. As soon as tariffs were announced, global customers just switched buying soybeans from the United States to Brazil. And Brazil's not even at full capacity yet. They can still grow more. They just haven't had a need to yet, but they will. New Zealand and the Netherlands already grow shocking amounts of food and export them from very little acreage. And tobacco, one of my state's biggest exports. Well, ever since the first Trump administration, China's been building up tobacco farming all over East Africa, because we taught them, our biggest global customer, that we are not a reliable supplier anymore, and they responded accordingly. So as a US farmer, it is wild to watch so many of my colleagues just take our markets and our opportunities for granted. The people around the world buying our exports, they are not our subjects that we grant food to when we feel like it. They're the customers who pay us and make our work possible. When we take them for granted, they're not just going to come begging us to come back. They're going to find someone else to buy from instead. And I think that's when you can tell that any business has jumped the shark, is when it takes its own customers for granted like that. But we're making good opportunities for other people, like this guy in Australia.